Hello, Michelle. This is your geographical information system.
I'm just really excited to see where, what you're doing and what this GIS for Dummies book is going to look like.
So it's interesting because I got this email like out of the blue over the summer, and this woman emailed me and she says, would you be interested in doing the second edition for writing the GIS for Dummies book? And I was like, is this a scam? So I I researched her, and she had a Wiley, the book publishing house, they're big. They do the Dummies series. And so, I'm like, oh, she's legit. So I said, sure, why not? But, tell me more about it. So it came down to, they have this old version. At least you could see it with the.
Okay.
All right. And it was written in 2009.
Wow.
And yeah. So I didn't realize there was an old version when I first got it till I researched it. I'm like, wow, this is old. And I mean, it talks about ArcInfo coverages. Okay, that's how old it is. So I thought, well, this will be fun. I can modernize this. And so the first author, Dr. Michael Demers, I guess he's on to other things. He writes like fantasy novels now or something.
Fun.
And so he wasn't interested in doing the second edition. And so, but the structure's all there. So there's
Nice.
still, the basics don't really change. So I'm using the bones that he established and modernizing it and adding in a few things. And the styles changed a little bit, and so I have to update some of that. Back then it was a little more academic kind of. So trying to make it more, today we're, our society, we're, tweets and 280 characters and more concise.
Yeah.
Right. But still engaging. And so that's kind of the challenge, but it's still fun. So that's kind of where I'm at. And it's been kind of fun.
I appreciate you sharing that before we talk about who you are, because now we know a little bit more about a little bit of the history. So tell me a little bit about you, and I can share a little bit about me also.
Oh, yes, I would love to learn more about you too. Okay, so like I started in GIS way back in the early 90s, and what happened was I was a demographer for the state of Arizona, and I did population projections. And so I was into census and all this stuff. So I knew, about geography because I used census maps. Back then we had like these drawers, where you pull out the maps and, look at these cool maps. And one day my boss came to our little staff meeting. There was 7 people on this team then. Anyways, and she says, hey, the state land department has this grant and they want to give GIS machines to people, to different agencies, and they'd like to give it to us. Does anybody want to do it? And I'm like, total nerd. I'm like, oh, I'll do it. And so we got this Unix system and ArcInfo. So I had to learn Unix. They sent me to training for Unix. They sent me to 2 weeks of ArcInfo training, learning a lot more than I really was going to need to do population projections, for demography. But it was super cool and I was hooked, right? And I, so I did a lot of studies there, and then I met a lot of people because I did a lot of the different agencies use population. And one of the people that I met was a man named Tony Gonzalez, and he worked for the Arizona Department of Transportation. He was a huge enthusiast for an evangelist for GIS. And so he hired me away into the DOT. And we had so much fun. He would teach ArcView was out then, and he taught ArcView classes, and ArcGIS was merging to ArcGIS. And he said, hey, you're going to teach this too with me. You're going to help me. And so, of course, why give Jami the easy one? He says, you're going to do the section on projections. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So, I had to learn all these different things. And It was really fun. I enjoyed my work at the Department of Transportation. Tony was a huge mentor to me. So I'm really proud to have been, mentored under him. So I learned a lot in the Arizona community, the GIS community at large. And that's one of the coolest things that keeps me going. And I'm probably true for you too, right? Is that it's a community. We share, we help each other. There's no way I could have learned all that stuff by myself back then if it hadn't been for the people at the land department giving us software and hardware and teaching me and all these different things. And so I came up through that, and I did other things. I also, after the Department of Transportation, I went to the Regional Council of Governments in Phoenix. And so I went kind of back to my roots. So I was doing socioeconomic studies, and I also got into data visualization. Nice. And GIS, that's what it's about, right? It's visualizing the data in a map form. But I also learned that not everybody understands and can read a map and numbers and stuff when you throw it up on a PowerPoint screen. So when I was giving presentations to the director of the Department of Transportation and these high-level managers and mayors, and their eyes would glaze over. And there's nothing more intimidating than standing in front of an audience and you can tell they're they're tuned out or whatever. So that's when I thought, I need to take this another step further. And so I got more into the visualization and the data side with that part. So it's kind of come all full circle. And that's kind of where I am now. And I have my own little consulting firm, and I do contracts here and there. And I do different things on data analysis and visualization, and I just love it. And
I'm so glad.
So that's kind of where I am. And I, to kind of segue over to you, I've seen you on the social media. I remember going to an Esri conference a couple years ago and seeing this woman with her blue cape. And then later on the Twitter feed or maybe LinkedIn, I'm like, oh my God, that was the Survey 123 Jedi. And I thought, how cool is that? You have such great passion. I just think it's great. So I want to now, after I've blabbled on, it's your turn.
My turn.
Tag, you're it.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So I was going for my bachelor's degree, and I'm at the University of Redlands. And so I'm doing a career change. I love data even before GIS. So I was doing access databases and the customer management systems and all of that behind the scenes. And I knew I loved that. And I was going for my degree in business because I love business and I think that would help me. And since we're in Redlands, you have to take one GIS class. And so the one that they gave us was Survey 123, and I'm all, oh, I love this. I could totally do this for the rest of my life. So my professor, he goes, hey, Michelle, I'm supposed to tell you to stay over here and get your MBA and do a certificate and in GIS. I don't think you're going to like it. And I'm not a finance person. I don't want to do finance. And he goes, but we have a master's program and it's all GIS and I think you would thrive there. So with that one mentor, I appreciate him so much. But it changed my life. And I thought, oh, I'm going to do this for my master's program. That's all we're going to learn. That's going to be amazing. No, that's not all we learned. In fact, my Survey 123 class was probably 2 hours long because people didn't understand Survey 123. So they just kind of, here's what it is. But that's it. And I'm all, okay, well, now I've learned AirDOS and I've learned, programming and oh my gosh. And so I'm going, I could barely spell GIS. That was my first introduction, was that one little teeny tiny class. And all the kids that are in my class are going, oh yeah, this is great because, I did this in high school. And I'm all, I'm gonna lock into them because they know what they're doing. And we did. And like you said, community. we all went through the whole thing together. And, you know, some of it, I learned how to Google. I didn't know I needed a PhD in Googling, but, you know, it was like, I never knew how they did it, but I'm watching these kids Google stuff and they're all, oh yeah, this is how you do this. And you know, I'm looking at the software and I'm going, I don't even know where to start with that. I mean, I like Photoshop and, you know, those stuff. My husband and I are photographers. We do Santa photography on this. We used to do Santa photography. Then I got into GIS and now he's into GIS. And we kind of do a couple clients for Santa photography, but it was like, okay, business, and you know, that's where all that stuff linked in. And now I'm into GIS and I'm learning and I'm really overwhelmed because they say, so our program is 2 years, but you can take it in 1 year. And I told my husband, hey, I can get a scholarship because I'm switching careers if I do this 2-year program in 1 year. And he goes, well, quit all your jobs and let's take care of that. And had somebody guided me and said, Michelle, you don't have a foundation yet. You might want to take the 2 years. But I'm all, you know, that's who I am. I'm like, oh, I'm a champion of diving into new things. And I go, let's do this. It's like a fire hose of information, learning 5 languages in 7 weeks and 5 new languages in 7 weeks. And but I made it. And then, you know, it's just, my thesis was on irrigation. So we have a little tiny place up in, I live in Beaumont, California. So in Oakland, they have a farm and they didn't know where all their irrigation was. But one of the guys who was leading their new GIS team knew that he was a Redlands alum, and he goes, oh, I know that I can get somebody to do this project for us. So that's what I did. That's what my project was on. So I learned it on, it's not the utility network, it's a geo network, whatever it was before its sexy version now, in ArcMap, I think it was. So that's kind of who I am today. And that's where I love Survey 123. I feel at home there because, you know, I've done spreadsheets, but I know with working with people, and I love training people. And so working with people, I'm going, oh, everybody's not a spreadsheet girl like I am. You know, I need to show them how, you know, how things work and how to filter and, you know, all this. So now when I teach my Survey 123 classes, I actually do an Excel portion of that of, you know, here's how you filter and things like that. And don't touch this button here because it'll do these weird things for you. But it's been fun. I've really enjoyed it. So tell me, how far did you get on your book?
I'm a little over halfway through right now.
That's amazing. So are you thinking halfway through the year, maybe you'll be ready? Or?
No, okay, so this is a very unique process because they have very tight deadlines. And I'm not sure if I shot myself in the foot because I mentioned that there's this huge conference that all the GIS people go to every year in San Diego in July. And they have a bookstore there, but I'm not sure if it's just Esri books or not. But wouldn't that be cool if they would sell a Dummies book? And so now all of a sudden, my deadline is so that I have to be done with the writing by the end of January. And then, so they, you know, because then it goes through all this other review process. I still get another review, author review, and there's all these hosts of people. And then, you know, printing, of course. And so they did say, I just kind of threw that out there, and they said, well, no, we want to make sure that we have it printed in time by the Esri conference. I was like, oh, so maybe they're in, you know, Wiley's pretty big, so they could be in touch with whoever the Esri press people are. I don't know if they actually sell I don't know. So I'm not sure if it will actually. That's awesome. But it's kind of fun to think it might be. Yeah. But it's also a little scary too, right?
Yeah. I'm excited for you. That's so amazing.
So, thank you so much. It's been great to meet you, Michelle. And I hope we can connect again for sure.
Yes. And I'll send you that link of the gentleman who I was talking about.
Please do. Please do. That'll be great.
Have a wonderful day.
Okay. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.